Okay, let us go. Leadership. Happy Friday, everyone. We are moving to the leadership series because we are done with partnerships. So if you had any lingering questions about partnerships, please do send them to me on inbox and I will respond to you personally. It is Friday, which means it's time to reflect on the week. My gosh, what a week it's been. How has your week been? Have you assessed yourself? Have you seen what went well this week? What were our wins? What happened well? What meeting was good? What idea did you have? What did you submit? What did you learn? How did you grow? There's so many small things we don't acknowledge ourselves for. Yesterday, I was talking to someone and I was like proud of them and telling them, you did a great productive thing today. And they were like, what? Like, yeah, even things that are emotional labor are productive. Even when you grow in something you do physically or spiritually, it's productive. Not everything is always mental or about work. So I think as we assess our days and what we do in the week or the month, remember to look at your life holistically. Not only how much did I put out this month, how much money did I make, did I hit all these targets at work? Think about your whole life because you need to grow in all directions. You need to have harmony mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. So you want to keep moving in those directions. Make sure you do your Friday assessment. See how the week went. Reflect, measure, try and count how many things you did differently or you did well. What's important to you? What are you trying to grow in yourself this year? Is it speaking up in meetings? How many times did you speak up this week? Is it how many times you went to the gym? Is it how many glasses of water you drink per day? Is it how many times you made it to church or the mosque? Is it how many morning intentions you set? How many Fridays are you actually assessing how the week went? Count in a month and see. See how to assess these things in your life and then look for the obstacles. Why didn't I do what I needed to do this week? This week, I've had many days where I was not as productive as I wanted. So I sat there and I was like, why didn't I do this today? Was I tired? Was I distracted? Was I worried about something? Was I scared? There are many different things that come in the way. Was I busy with someone else's things? Was there a crisis, an extenuating circumstance? Assess these things in your life so that you learn and you progress. What I always say is, I love new problems. I don't like the same problem to keep delaying me, slowing me down, derailing me over and over and over again. I like new problems. I need to figure out this problem. We put it aside because now I'm moving forward. Bring the next problem. It means I'm growing. There's always going to be problems. Nothing is perfect, but at least let us be moving forward. For me, if I have the same problem recurring in my life over and over, then I'm like, I'm not growing. There is a challenge here. Actually, I saw this interesting tweet this week. This guy was like, I'm reflecting on myself. What was I doing this time 10 years ago? How was I spending my time? What were my challenges? What were my fears? And then compare that to today. And I was like, oh my gosh, 10 years ago, what was I doing? What are the things in my life that are the same? And what are the things that have changed? And is that good? Do I feel like I'm making progress? Do I have the same challenges and the same fears? Or am I moving forward? Do I have new ones? Because I've overcome those. I realize some things because I feel very old right now compared to how I was 10 years ago. But there's so many good things that come with being older. I have so much less anxiety about things that I feel like make no sense now or are so petty. Yet when I was 22, I was like, oh my God, I'm so stressed about this. So in that area, I was like, I feel much better. But it's important to do these reflections. I had never thought about it like on a 10-year scale. I guess I never think I'm old enough to be able to reflect 10 years ago. I guess I am. But it was an interesting way to reflect. So I was grateful for that. I'm grateful that I follow people on Twitter that challenge my mind, that ask these questions to themselves, and it encourages me, it sparks me to ask these questions to myself and to put them to you. What were you doing 10 years ago? What was your day like? What were you worried about? What were your goals? How are you spending your time? Has it changed? Has it improved? Is this the direction you thought it would go in? Is it better? Is it worse? What do you need to change? You need to assess these things because if we don't reflect, we don't really know. Yet time is always moving. So that's my thoughts on reflection for this week. Leadership. I'm sorry I was so late today. Our meeting ran late. Leadership. This is an interesting topic, and this is something that we get lots of questions about. And I am happy to break the myth and tell you leadership is learned, it is not born. I think too many people are like, oh, I'm not a natural leader, I'm not a born leader, I'm not a firstborn, I'm not an extrovert, I'm not loud. So they like discount themselves from being leaders. Guess what? Everybody got to be a leader. There's something in your life you're going to have to lead, whether it's your own children, it's your team at work, it's your fellowship group. You can be a leader in something. Everybody can. It has nothing to do with your personality. Of course, your personality is a factor. It shows you which areas you need to work on to help your leadership, but do not let it be a limiting belief. Do not put in your mind, I can't be a leader. I should not be a leader. I'm not qualified to be a leader. I don't have what it takes to be a leader. Let's start by removing that from everybody's minds. We're going to go through different topics over the next series about leadership in different areas for different people, whether you're a student, an entrepreneur, you're someone in your career, whether you work in a family business, whether it's in your home. We can all be leaders. There are so many leadership skills, and every single one of them can be improved. It can be worked on. You can grow. I promise, I'm not lying. If you don't believe me, ask me the specific question or tell me how you tried and failed. Tell me how you tried and failed that same thing 10 different ways. If you have 10 ways, you tried this one leadership skill, you tried to improve, you tried this, it failed, you tried this, it failed, you tried this, it failed. If you have 10 times, please send me that story and I will clap for you and say, okay, you have failed completely. You should not be a leader. I will agree, because I know it doesn't exist. There are so many areas of leadership, and I feel like this is an interesting topic. I was posting about it yesterday because I realized, yes, I'm a firstborn and I have been trained to be a leader my whole life. I don't know if I was trained, more like forced. With parents with their firstborn, they're always like, you have to do this. Where are your siblings? Make sure they do this. So I guess I had some sort of training. I knew how to boss other kids around from a young age, but that was not really structured. And also, it's not very nice. It can be easy. You can easily become a bully when you're used to being bossy at home as a child. But it helped me because I think it made me a bit tougher by the time I was older. But when I was dropped in the workplace and I had to be a leader, I could not just bully around people who are much older than me. And also, I didn't have the confidence to do it. So there are very many areas I had to learn because, as my father says, I'm going to drop you in the deep end and you'll figure it out. I don't know what kind of parenting technique that is, to just drop children in the deep end of a pool and hope they learn how to swim. He's very lucky that I did, but I guess he was also there watching and he was helpful. I could ask him questions and he'd guide me and tell me stories. So I hope I can be that resource to you, because I realize with all the challenges I had trying to be a leader in my early 20s, this is when we're talking 10 years ago, trying to lead people and trying to motivate people and get them to really, leadership is about having the shared goal and getting the best out of everyone so that we all move forward to achieve these goals. So that's something I had to learn. And so whenever I was struggling or I didn't know what to do or I was in a difficult situation, my natural inclination is to seek information, because that's what makes me feel more confident. If I understand what's expected of me, then I can do that. Whatever it is, I can learn it. It's hard sometimes. Some easier than others, but a lot of them are hard. But as long as the information is there, I have the belief that I can learn it. So my option was always find the information, watch a video, read a book, ask someone, how do you handle this? What do you do when this happens? What is this situation? What is this called? How do I handle a meeting? I didn't know how to do any of these things. They don't teach you these things in school. This is how you chair a meeting. This is what you're supposed to do. This is how you discipline someone. This is how you inspire a team. This is how you structure things. But thank God for the internet, because that is where I have learned so many things. I think first is about demystifying what you're scared of. So make your own leadership assessment. If you're one of the people with the limiting belief that you think you can't be a leader, that's the first thing you need to overcome. Whoever told you that was mean, and you need to remove their voice from your head. You need to decide for yourself, do I want to be a better leader? Because you are all leaders. We are all leaders in different areas of our lives, whether we know it or not. In some areas, you're the follower. In some areas, you're the leader. And that's okay, because in life, you need both. So, firstly, commit. I want to be a better leader. I need to be a better leader. It helps if you have a reason why. You want to be a better parent? Do you want to get a promotion at work? Do you want your business to grow? So many people have businesses and they can't hire more staff and they can't grow because they are shy about this, or they think they're handling everything, or they don't have the time or the resources. So leadership encompasses all these different things. You need to sort of have a bird's eye view and see all the different aspects of what the project or the challenge or the company or the business that you're working with, and see what do we need to do? Where do we need to go? Leadership is about having that vision and then executing it. It's your responsibility to see the vision, communicate the vision, and then get everybody moving so that we get to the vision, in my understanding. So you need to first assess yourself. What do I need to do to be a better leader? There's so much you can read about leadership. You can listen, you can watch. There's so many resources these days. There are different skills within leadership. But first, it's about your own confidence in you as a leader. I suggest empower yourself with information. The more you know about leadership, the more you know what you don't know and what you already have and what you need to work on. So you sort of have your game plan. These are the things I need to learn about. This is the person I'm going to ask about. This is where I'm going to learn this. And find the medium that works for you. If it's a podcast, if it's YouTube, if it's a video, if it's a friend, if it's a mentor, see where you are going to get the information. And don't stop there. First, you assess, then you get the information, then you implement it. This is the challenge. Most people like to know things, but they don't apply it to their lives. And that is a skill that you need to develop for yourself, because we can all sit and listen and watch and learn and listen. But if we're not doing those things, we're not embodying them, we're not practicing them, then we might as well have not learned it. You're just wasting your own time reading that book or watching this video if you have no intention of actually applying it to your life. What I find effective is apply it immediately, because then you cut down your learning time and you can learn so many things so much faster. I did not have the luxury of time when I had to become a leader. I had to learn how to do everything immediately, because every day that I waste is a day now I'm doing my job badly. That's hurting other people, it's hurting the company. So I had to put this pressure on myself. Learn it, apply it, learn it, apply it, learn it, apply it. And as you're applying, you're going to get feedback. So those are like the 4 stages I like to use when I'm learning anything. So let's use this with leadership. Assess, where are you now? Who are you as a leader? Do you know there are many different leadership types? You need to know what are the different types. You need to know what are the different skills. You need to know where you are at according to each of them. Do you understand what they are? Are you living that already? Do you have a natural style? Do you have a way that your personality is coming out in the way you are as a leader? Are there areas that you're scared about? Are there areas you're already good at? Are there areas that could use some work? First, assess. Know where you are. I always say this. When you're starting a journey, you can't get to the destination if you don't know where you are. Like when you're in a mall and it has like a map and it says you are here, you need to have the you are here. Where is here in your life? When you use Google Maps in your phone, there's a starting point and an ending point. So let's first look at the starting point. Assess who you are as a leader. What does leadership mean to you? And then you can see, what is the ideal leader? What kind of leader are you trying to be? Are they celebrity leaders that you look at? Are they bosses or CEOs or people you follow on Instagram? Is it a movie character or a TV show character? I love Jessica Pearson on Suits. I think that's one of the first like women leaders. I was like, wow, I just want to be like her. She never gets frazzled. She always looks so nice. She's so tough, but yet like likable. She was such a wonderful balance for me as like an example of a woman leader in a corporate situation. So I think it's helpful to have different ideas, different inspirations, people in your real life, whether it's a colleague or a friend or a relative, someone you're like, oh, wow, I appreciate their leadership style. So once you can identify that, you can identify why. What do you like about them? Is it the way that they handle things? Is it the skills that they have, the way they present, themselves, the way they handle difficult conversations, the way they negotiate, the way they give instructions? Some leaders are super fun and energetic, and some people like that. Some are very serious and like very instructional or communicate in a certain way. The more information you can gather paints a better picture for you, so you can have the end destination. You know where you are, you know where you want to go. Then it's about the journey. How are we going to get there, right? So this is part of the assessment. So when you know what you're trying to be or aspire to be like, because everyone is slightly different, but it's good if you have aspirations and you're moving in the right direction, you grow as a person. So that is the assessment part. Then you have to gather all the information and arm yourself with it. Do an online course, go on YouTube, a podcast, a book. Go to one of these inspirational people and ask them questions. How did you learn this skill? How did you practice this? What was it like the first time you had to do this? How did you figure out how to do that? I had a really good mentor 10 years ago. I was so young and I had never had a female mentor. My dad had taught me so much, and all I knew was going to things with him, how he handles things. So for me, that's what leadership looked like. That's the only model I had. But then when I had a female mentor and I started going places with Sonia, I would just sit in the car with her and go like on all her errands and site visits every day. I was working in real estate and construction, and she used to work in those sectors. And she had way more experience than me. And I would learn and listen and see, this is how she talks to these kinds of people. This is how she handles this kinds of situation. This is what she does when there's a problem. This is the shoes she packs in her car because she knows she's going from sites to board meetings. Girls, you gotta be changing your shoes. So these are small things that I had to pick up that I could never have learned from my dad, because it's different for men than it is for women. It's different from sector to sector. There's different skills, there's different ways to handle things, there's different challenges, there's different opportunities. So that helped me, and I could ask her questions. Why did you say this like this? Why did you say that like that? Why are you making jokes with this guy when he just made a big mess? And she would explain things. She had patience and time because she was a mentor to me and she took it seriously. So maybe find someone like that in your life that you can ask these things. Look at the different books on different leadership styles, on different areas, because there are some things you want to be like and some that you don't. Yesterday, I was doing an Instagram story about this productivity influencer that I love, Brendan Bouchard. And I realized when I was explaining about him and his book, I like him because he inspires me and he pushes me in a positive way. Most of the time, I would see these inspirational guys who are like productivity people who are trying to make you do more are mean, and they're like ex-military and they shout at you and they're telling you what to do, get up and grind. And I was like, I don't want to be shouted at every day in the morning on my Instagram. It's not motivating me, but I know that I need to become like that. So I was stuck, and then I found Brandon, who is super sunny and fun and enthusiastic, but he's still telling you, get up and grind, do this, make sure you're doing this, have you done this today, but in like the nicest way. So it was like a completely different type of energy. And so when you explore what's out there in the world, you can find these things, you can find these people. And oh my God, Brendan liked my story. I was like, that's so cool, he knows that I love him. It was very fun for me. But the information is out there. You don't have to be one way. And that's one of the first things I had to learn about leadership. And I encourage you to do that. Just because your current boss is a certain way or your parents are a certain way doesn't mean that's the only way to lead. There's so many ways. There are so many ways to lead in different ways that you've never seen before. And until you expose yourself to that, you don't even know it exists. Another leader I love is Garyvee. He seems kind of mean because he's like crunchy, he's not sweet and enthusiastic, but he's the sweetest person. He's like so compassionate. I just finished reading his book 12 and a half, The Emotional Ingredients for Business Success. Such a good book. Most business books are telling you all the technical hardcore stuff, but they're not embodying all the other aspects that are needed. Things like humility and curiosity and flexibility. I was like, wow, this book makes so much sense. These are all the soft skills you need to succeed in business, because it's hard and it's not just about technical things. But he's such a different type of leader. He fights for his people. He's so loyal. He's so chill. I've never seen him in a suit. So there's so many ways to do these different things. There's so many ways out there. You have to find what resonates with you. If you're trying to force yourself to take in the information that you think, this is what I'm supposed to be like, this is what my boss is like, this is what all the bosses in law are like, or in finance, or in this area are like, you don't have to be like that. There's so many different ways to do things. There's so many different options these days. And that's something I'm very grateful for, the time that we live in. There is no one way to do anything. You can find inspiration. You can find successful people who don't wake up at 5 a.m. You can find successful people with bright colored hair and tattoos. You can find successful people who are not mean, who don't shout, who are sweet and kind. There are so many offices these days that are all like spa-like and have like candles and massages, or like fun offices like Google and Facebook with like bright colors and sleeping rooms. There's so many ways to do things. And as much as it's harder in Africa, yes, we move a bit slower. Our culture is a bit more serious. No one is going to kill you if you do it differently, because if you succeed, you get away with everything. This is something I have been practicing since I was very young. As long as you are achieving, you are getting good grades in school, no matter how much of a troublemaker you are, people will deal with you. You know how you see all these eccentric billionaires? The only reason they get to be eccentric is because they're billionaires. If a normal person was acting the way they were, or saying the things they say, or dressing the way they do, everyone would make fun of them, not take them seriously, not give them opportunities. But because they're a billionaire and they're successful, oh, it's okay to wear weird clothes. It's okay to be Elon Musk. His girlfriend, who just had his second child, said that he made her eat peanut butter for 8 days in a row, that he lives like he's a poverty-stricken person. I was like, what is that? You're a billionaire. I'm just saying, When you are adding value and you are doing what needs to be done, no one can disturb you. If you're on top of your game, you're making your deadlines, you're doing what you need to do, no one will harass you about how you get it done. So you can embrace whatever leadership style you are going for. I show up at board meetings with this color hair. No one is disturbing me. No one is making comments. Because guess what? What I'm going to say in the board meeting makes more sense. I'm adding value. I've done my homework. I'm showing up how I'm supposed to. What does it matter to you what color my hair is? And this one is not so bad. I had purple for a while. But I had to learn to push those boundaries because I was now feeling more strong because I had all this information. I was more confident in my abilities and the value I'm adding, but also confident that there are leaders out there doing things differently. And the more I can be myself and be a leader, it shows other people. Be yourself too. Find the style that works for you and lead in that way. So arm yourself with that information. Do research. Spend time learning. Cut out time, whether it's an hour a day or 10 minutes a day, it's for 6 months or it's for 1 month or it's for 2 years. Give yourself that time. This is where I'm at. This is the kind of leader I'm trying to be. Now, how do I get there? What are the skills I need? What are the books I need to read? Who are the mentors? Who are the leaders in this field? Go on LinkedIn. LinkedIn doesn't use blue ticks. I think they call them thought leaders. You need to find those people in your sector. You need to find those leaders who are like you in that area. Ariana Huffington, another leader I love. Super compassionate, warm, kind, but such a boss. She's in charge of so much. She runs huge companies. She creates things all the time. And she is always advocating for sleep. Imagine a leader who is telling people you need to sleep more. Love it. She actually also says women should repeat their outfits. It's not fair how men get to wear like the same suit for every event, but women are constantly harassed. You already repeated that. You wore this the other day. You took photos of this. I was like, yes, Ariana, you tell them. We don't need to keep buying clothes. It's not right. It's not fair. And she does all these kinds of things and says these things and starts a movement because she's authentic in it. She's strong in it. And we trust her judgment. She is a good leader. She's a successful leader. And she's clear on who she's trying to be. And you can be this kind of person. I can keep going on and on and on about all these interesting leaders who I love, who have inspired me to do more. But I want you to go out and do that for yourself. Find 5 different aspirational leaders, people who you want to be like. Not just that they inspire you, but you want to be like them. You want to pick out these little bits and pieces from all of them. The world is your buffet. You get to pick and choose all the different things you want to make you you. None of us has to be a copy of someone else. If you try to copy someone else, you're going to be disappointed because you will never be them and you should not want to be, as much as we get pushed to do that. It's good to have examples, but remember, it's a buffet. No one is forcing you to eat everything. Just pick the bits that you want from the people that you like. Do that research, do that homework. Because once you have that information, you need to start applying it. That is what helps. You don't need to cram things. You need to just do them. Once you start doing it, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to remember, what did the book say I have to do in this kind of situation? Oh my God, I need to check. What did my notes say about this? What did my mentor say about that? It's good to get the information and immediately start using it. Start practicing it. Because then you start to embody it, you start to do it, and then you don't have to remember it. It just becomes part of who you are. It becomes your routine. It takes much less effort and willpower. And also, it takes you to the final stage, which is the feedback. You get to start practicing these things, experiment. Just because it worked for Ariana Huffington doesn't mean it's going to work for me, but I'm going to try. Let me try it for 2-3 weeks. If it doesn't really work in our context, in my situation, with my personality, with my team, with my project, that's okay. I tried. I learned something from the experiment. A little more of this, a little less of that. I need to be a bit more strict here, a bit tougher there. I need to be more quiet in these kinds of meetings. I need to be more clear about these kinds of instructions. You're constantly taking in the feedback, understanding. That's what experimenting is about. Then you try the next thing. Okay, Garyvee's book said, when this kind of situation happens, this is how I need to dive in. Let me try it this way. Because it's different from what Ariana said. It's also different from what Sonia said, but it's kind of what my dad said. Okay, let's mix it all together and try that at the next meeting. If you're intentional about how you're practicing these things, you start to develop your own leadership style. You get to sort of mold yourself as you're going. You're sculpting. Take a bit more here, add a bit more there. Let's see how this works. And you will see what works for you. You will see what delivers results for you, where you get positive feedback. That was great. Thank you for handling that meeting this way. Oh, that report was excellent. Oh, your presentation was so interesting. Oh, that was such a good point. It just starts happening. You start to see it comes in. So take the feedback, whether it's positive or negative, it's useful because it's helping you shape who you are trying to be and where you're trying to go as a leader. You will start to notice. You will start to see how you influence people, how you lead people, how people feel about you. Start to notice these things. Take the temperature of the audience. Know who is around you and how they feel about it. And you can also ask. If you start implementing like a particular thing in your leadership style, at your next appraisal, ask your boss, how do you think I'm doing? Do you think I'm improving as a leader? I've really been working on my communication skills. Get the feedback, ask, and be ready to take it. It's not always easy. Sometimes it hurts, sometimes it's hard, but it's useful. So you have to remember that I know it's hard because it's emotional. This is you. This is a very personal, intimate, vulnerable thing. You're growing and sculpting and molding who you are. So it's hard to hear the criticism and the negative feedback, but it's helpful. It's helpful because you still have to interact with these people, with other people. I did a leadership coach training and they made me do a survey on myself, and then I had to send the survey to my superiors and also to my juniors, and then we got all the feedback. Of course it was done online, so it was anonymous, so you can't go and attack anyone, but it was very interesting to see the difference in how I show up to my boss and how I show up to someone who is below me, and to see how my juniors respond to me and my style and what they think of me, how they think I'm doing and how they think of me as a leader, and also to see how my superiors see me and think of me as a leader. It was an interesting experiment, and it made me realize I need to be doing this more often. Yes, that was like a program and a trained coaching thing, but this information is always there. You can see it on people's faces, you can hear it in their tone, you can see it in the work that they deliver, you can see in how they respond to you. When I do certain things, I see how my boss responds. He doesn't like this, he likes that. Now I know he wants me to show up like this, he wants me to behave like this. This is the most effective way to get this message across to him. This is the most effective way to get my message across to a bigger team that I lead. So you can start to take in that information if you're being proactive about it and you're looking for it. So when you're in the experiment phase, you're applying and implementing these things, you want to be gathering the feedback as you go. Sometimes it helps to take a screenshot or to take notes. If someone sends you a message, oh, in the meeting, I didn't like it when you said this and this and this, it made me feel this way. Take that screenshot. Maybe I should not be so harsh in the meeting. Maybe I need to have these kinds of conversations in private because it makes other people feel a type of way. There are things you can adjust and put that like in your ongoing folder. Like, these are the things I'm learning, these are the things I'm working on every month. I know these are the things I'm working on this month, these are the habits I'm trying to practice, these are the areas I'm trying to grow in. So it means I need to be getting feedback on that. Even if it's something like I'm trying to drink more water, I write down how many bottles of water I drink per day so that I can assess every week, how many did I drink, why didn't I drink more on Wednesday, what happened on that day, why wasn't I doing better. So you need to look for the feedback. So you're looking for the cues, you measure it so that as you go, you're improving. Okay, this is what that person said. My presentation was good, but it was too long. I was talking too fast. I didn't have enough pictures. I didn't give enough information. I assumed the whole team was aware of these technical bits, but the marketing guys had no idea about these finance terms, or the finance people didn't know these marketing analytics. So it means in my next presentation, I need to add like a slide at the beginning that explains all the basics, gives the context. You can take the feedback, see what people respond to and what they don't, and then you implement it. And then you just keep the cycle going. You keep experimenting and implementing and trying new things, adding new information, implementing the information, getting the feedback, adding the information, implementing it, getting the feedback. And then with time, you see you're growing, you're moving. As you do your Friday reflections, your end of the month reflection, 3 months, whether it's an appraisal, it's a personal one, you see how you're doing. And then you'll see yourself change and grow as a leader. No leader is just born. Yes, some people are a bit bossier as children. It makes it a little bit easier, but we still have to work on it. It's like being a good public speaker. All the world's best public speakers work on it. They practice, they put in time, they're intentional, they learn, they listen, they grow. You can see them improving. If you see a world-class speaker's presentations now, go scroll down on their YouTube to the very first one. Yes, scroll to the very first one. You'll see a difference. You'll see they've grown. And you have to ask yourself, why? How did that happen? No one is just boom like this. Life is not a movie. There's no montage. You know, in the movie, they show the person how they're struggling in the beginning. Then they put on like the music and you just see them practicing. They're either going to the gym or they're going to work, then they're home, then this, then work, then home, then this. And you can see like time is passing, like the seasons are changing, or their hair is growing, or something, you know, around them is happening to show time is passing. And then we get to the next part of the movie where they're already so much better. And now, oh my gosh, this is what's happening. Life is not a movie, guys. That part where you just have to do the same thing over and over and over as you grow, yeah, that's where we have to be all the time. And that's what's useful. That's what's helpful. So think of that part of the movie and then just start being like that all the time. It seems routine to you, but it's those small steps every day you're taking that are helping you to grow and to move forward. And that's how you get to be that shiny person at the end of the movie. We're not yet at the end of the movie. So we're still in the growing part. It's the longest part of the movie when you think about it. But I encourage you to experiment. Arm yourself with this information. Start taking the feedback because we can all be better leaders. And that's what the world needs in our smaller communities, in our households, in our countries, in the whole world. We all need to be better leaders. It will be better for the next generation. It will be better for the people around us. And it will be better for us because we will be better people if we are intentional about how we learn these things and grow in areas that we want to grow in. It is possible. I encourage you to do that. I think we have a question. How do I balance leadership with other things like family, school, relationships? Christina, girl, it's not easy. There is never anything easy in work-life balance. But like I always say, you have to be proactive. You have to be intentional. If it is a priority, you make time for it. Say I'm going to spend, for example, 1 hour working on my leadership every week. Schedule it in your calendar, make an appointment with yourself, dedicate the time. Whether you're going to sit there for 1 hour and read a book or listen to a podcast or meet someone coffee and ask questions, make sure you are intentional about it. Don't bump it, don't push it. Oh, I got busy with work. Oh, I was tired. Oh, I had to go for a wedding. Make sure you plan it and you show up for yourself and you tick it off. So at the end of the month, you're like, yes, I did my 4 hours this month of leadership. I focused on it. I was thinking about it and I was implementing it in other areas of my life. Balance is a tricky one. There's no such thing. And the word balance, I think it implies like everything is like perfect and still. But whenever I think of balance, I think of like, when you try to balance a plate on a bowl, it's just like, it's always moving, but somehow it's there. As long as the plate doesn't tip over, balance is constantly in flux. So this month you're focusing on family, next month it's school, next month it's leadership, next month it's relationships. It's always kind of like floating and moving, but it's there. As long as it's somehow steady, you're balancing, you're winning. I hope that's helpful. Arafat, do you believe that modern day problems require modern solutions? Unless we learn this, we shall be able to improve the many challenges facing young people. Yes and no. I think we need modern solutions to modern problems from like a technological aspect. I'm a big advocate for innovation. I think when people are like, oh, but it's always been this way, that's what I hate to hear. Just because that's how it's always been doesn't mean it's the best way, especially now. If it can be better, why not better? Come up with new ideas, new solutions. But I also think a lot about human beings is the same at the end of the day. Yes, we have new technology, new challenges, new technical stuff, but us as people, we evolve very, very slowly. I'm a big advocate for Stoicism, and I read a lot of books about this and listen to quotes, and these are like old quotes from like the Romans and the Greeks and like early human beings. And I find it still applies. So many of the principles still apply to who we are today. Human beings as entities, the way we think, the way we operate, our motivations, our fears are pretty much the same at the core of it. Yes, the way it manifests is different because we have phones and planes and modern technology, but a lot of our internal turmoil is the same as our ancestors at the end of the day. We're all trying to survive, we're all trying to look after our communities, we're all trying to do better, you know? So I think it's about finding that balance in how you approach things. Yes, you need modern solutions to technical things, but at the end of the day, you need timeless reasoning, is what I think. All right, Paul, what's the one situation around leadership that you ever failed miserably at initially, and how did you handle it going forward? One situation. I think I failed so many times. The good thing is I learn. I have learned to not stay down for long whenever there's something that happens negatively to me. I think for me as a leader, what are my biggest challenges is when it affects other people. When I've let down my team, when things have gone badly because I made a poor judgment in a plan, where I miscalculated something and now it's going to affect other people's lives, those ones really hurt me. And it's very demoralizing. I feel very guilty. I feel very sad. And then the only way I can move forward is to see how can I make sure I never make this mistake again? Where did I go wrong? I assess, I go backwards. What did I need to know before I made that decision? What did I overlook? Did I not listen to the right advice? Did I read the wrong report? Did I misunderstand something? And usually the solution is ask more questions. Next time, I will ask 1,000 questions before I make that decision because I'm so scared of making a poor one again. So I always try to look at the lesson instead of staying down and saying, oh my God, I failed. I'm blaming myself. Yes, it's my fault. It's my responsibility as a leader. But I'm also a poor leader if I don't get back up and encourage people to move forward. We all have to move forward. You see how you can mitigate the problem? Like, what can I do to make this a little bit better? And then I have to close that chapter and move forward. Take that lesson and make sure I carry it with me and I implement it the next time. Tracy, how can I put an activity into action? You break it down into a small task and then you do it. You feel the fear and you do it anyway. That is how I have learned to live. Because fear will always be there. There will always be doubt. You're always not sure. Should I do that? Should I not do that? The best way to do it, start taking small bites. If you had to eat a very big meal, you just take many small bites. If you have to climb a mountain, you take many small steps. Break it down into something small and just start doing it. You will get the information, you will get momentum, you will start going, and then the activity is done. You survived. You will survive it. I promise. Simon, thanks, Natalie. How do you deal with the challenges of leading older people than you? For it seems more of a culture here. They cause a lot of friction, even in areas where they have little knowledge, but they want to keep afloat. I know, man. I know. And old people are difficult to work with because they think they know, they don't want to listen. The thing that I find works, old people like respect. That's why there's a gap with you and them because they feel like you don't deserve the respect that they should that you have with your title or that they should have because you're young. Doesn't matter how qualified you are, you're young. So what I feel like works with them is you have to give them the respect. You need to listen to their opinions, take what they're saying into consideration. Unfortunately, old people also are not concise. So when I have to deal with older people who I manage, I set longer meetings. I know it's not going to be a 15, 20-minute thing. It's like a 1 hour guy because you're going to have to sit there and let them lecture you, let it out, let them feel like, okay, I've given the young one the wisdom that they need. Then you can move forward and make the decision. And after you've let them have their say, then even if you disagree with them, you make your decision as the leader and tell them, this is what we're going to do. Thank you. I really appreciate your insight. I've taken that into consideration. We're going to add these points to it, and this is how we're moving forward. You have to be firm at the end of the day. Because if you just sit there and let them take you in the way that they've been doing it, things won't change. And the reason that you're the leader and they're not is probably because you are adding something. There's new value, there's new information. The company or the project needs you. So make sure that you don't let yourself get so small that you lose sight of the vision. Remember, the whole leadership point was the shared vision, the shared goal. We have to get everyone there. Old people just need respect. They need to be listened to. And a lot of the time, they teach you something. They have wisdom. They've been there for longer than you, so they know certain things. It's also useful to bounce things off them because they've probably seen many different ideas come and fail. So it's useful to listen. I'm not just saying indulge them and don't listen. I just mean plan for it. Personally, me, I have many things to do in a day. So it's very difficult to get an old person out of your office like quickly. So just plan for it. Whether it's an hour or 2 hours, be like, okay, I'm going to sit and go through every point with them, get all their feedback. Then I'll think about how to move the project forward. Because it's hard and you can't get rid of them. And they're useful. Old people are assets. We are also very like quick and fast and moving all the time as young people, which I understand is like our context. But we're also, I think, a transitional generation. We kind of have to be the bridge between the old and the new because the younger ones are even worse than us. They are much more faster. They're faster. They're more entitled. They want things immediately. So try and see how you can use the older people in your office or your company or your space as assets. Patience. I always get feedback after presentations that I can be a good public speaker. How do I improve this skill and benefit from it? Public speaking is a very useful skill, girl. I really suggest that for all leaders because there's no world where you're not speaking in public. You just need to improve at it. I actually have a course on this. You can go on my website and do the course for just 100,000 shillings. I give you all the tips and tricks I have learned over the years from different leaders and coaches and mentors on public speaking. It's something I really encourage everyone to do because you do benefit from it. If you can't communicate well in public about yourself or about something else, it's very hard to succeed in life because everyone, we're people. We rely on each other's communication to get information, to understand each other, to know what each other is saying. So I think it's something you have to work on. It's a really good thing. People have told you you can be a really good public speaker. That's a bonus. It shows that you have like an innate skill, or you don't have as much fear to overcome as most people do. So you probably learn faster. Okay, I have gone over and I was already late, so I'm late for the next thing, but I hope you found that helpful. Look out for all the leadership videos and posts in the next couple of weeks. Send me your questions. I will be back live next Friday. Have a nice weekend, everyone.